that, but sir, I want to remind this House, Doklam crisis was on. The leader of opposition decided to get a briefing from whom? Not from the government, not from the emir, from the Chinese ambassador. He took his briefing from the Chinese ambassador when our military was confronting the Chinese military in Doklam. So I want to say that I want to say, and this is the political thinking. Let me, sir, give you the economic thinking. In 2006, the UPA government.
Please, बैठे-बैठे टिप्पणी मत कीजिए, आप बहुत कर रहे हो, नहीं, गलत है, बैठिए, बैठे-बैठे टिप्पणी मत कीजिए.
Sir, in 2006, because I want to illustrate my points with facts. I spoke about political facts, I spoke about border facts. Let me give you an economic fact. What is the economic thinking of the Congress party about China? In 2006, the Congress party agreed to do a regional trading arrangement with China. It was finalized during the visit of President Hu Jintao. A task force was appointed. The task force gave a positive recommendation. Through the efforts of various people, this did not happen. Let me give you the technology side. The very people today who are cautioning us on China are the people who allowed 3G and 4G to come from China. It is this government which made sure there was a made in India 5G. And finally, sir, we keep speaking about the border. The border, if today, whether it is the border with Pakistan, whether it is the border with China or any other border, if our military is today able to stand its ground, the kind of massive deployment that we saw on the China border after 2020, it is because our border infrastructure budget has gone up 4 times. Our tunneling, our road building, our bridging has doubled or tripled. And this is a far cry from the period when the thinking was, let's not develop the border because then the Chinese cannot come there. We had 60 years of neglect of the border. Today, in the last 10 years, that neglect has been reversed. I rise to apprise this august House of the foreign policy dimension of our response to the Pahalgam terrorist attack, going into the preparations for Operation Sindoor, and how foreign policy was handled during Operation Sindoor. As all the honorable members would appreciate, it was important to send a clear, strong, and resolute message after the Pahalgam attack. Our red lines had been crossed, and we had to make it very apparent that there would be serious consequences. As a result, the first step which was taken was that a meeting of the Cabinet Committee of Security took place on the 23rd of April. And that meeting decided that 1, the Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. 2, the integrated checkpost Atari would be closed with immediate effect. 3, Pakistani nationals who were traveling under SAARC visa exemption scheme will no longer be allowed to do that. 4, the defense, naval and air advisors of the Pakistani High Commission would be declared persona non grata. And 5, the overall strength of the High Commission would be brought down to 30 from the number of 55. It was very clear, Honorable Speaker, sir, that after this first set of steps approved by the Cabinet Committee on Security, that India's response to the Pahalgam attack will not stop there. Our task, from a diplomatic perspective, from a foreign policy approach, was to shape the global understanding of the Pahalgam attack. What we tried to do was to bring out to the international community Pakistan's long-standing use of cross-border terrorism. We highlighted the history of terrorism in Pakistan and how this particular attack was meant to target the economy of Jammu and Kashmir and to sow communal discord among the people of India. Our messages were two. One, zero tolerance of terrorism, and two, the right to defend our people against terrorism. So all the interactions we did, the diplomatic briefings, we called all the embassies for briefings. We interacted with the media. All of this was aimed at these two objectives: zero tolerance of terrorism and the right to defend ourselves, right to defend the people of India against cross-border terrorism. Now, the focus for our diplomacy was understandably the UN Security Council. And Honorable Speaker, sir, the challenge for us was that at this particular point, Pakistan is a member of the Security Council. We are not. So we had to achieve our objectives in a Security Council where Pakistan is a member. Now, our goals in the Security Council were two. One, to get an endorsement from the Security Council of the need for accountability, and two, to bring to justice those who perpetrated this attack. And I am glad to say, Speaker, sir, and I hope that this is appreciated and recognized by the House. If you look at the Security Council statement of 25 April, the members of the Security Council condemned in the strongest terms the terrorist attack. They affirmed terrorism in all its forms and manifestations constitute one of the most serious threats to international peace and security. And most important, the Council underlined the need to hold the perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and sponsors of this reprehensible act of terrorism accountable and bring them to justice. I highlight this, Speaker, sir, because this statement of the UN Security Council resonated throughout the international community. So when many honorable members asked today, where was the world on Pahalgam? I think the answer is there. The answer is there in a Security Council statement which says, hold them accountable, bring them to justice, and that is exactly what we did through Operation Sindhuk. Now, I also want, Honorable Speaker, sir, through you, to bring to the attention of the House a very interesting development pertaining to the TRF, the Resistance Front. When the Security Council was debating this on the 25th of April, and TRF had twice claimed responsibility for the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan defended the TRF. Pakistan tried to get any mention of TRF excluded, and in fact the Pakistani foreign minister told his parliament that this is a great diplomatic achievement. Now, I mention it because today, again, thanks to our diplomacy, the TRF has been designated as a global terrorist organization by the US government, and the same Pakistani foreign minister who took so much pride saying, I defended the TRF, says, well, now if the US has done this, we accept it. So that is where the Security Council issue stood. If I could then, sir, move on to the diplomacy from 25th of April till the commencement of Operation Sindhuk. During this period, there were obviously a number of phone calls, a number of conversations. At my level, there were 27 calls. At Prime Minister, I think almost 20 calls. About 35, 40 letters of support came in. And what we tried to do was to create a narrative, prepare the diplomacy for the launch of Operation Sindhuk. And the result of that diplomacy, Honorable Speaker, sir, there are 193 nations of the members of the United Nations. 193. only 3, apart from Pakistan, opposed Operation Sindoor. Only 3. If you look through this period, and I would be very happy to share with the House the exact positions of various governments, overwhelmingly, there was recognition that terrorism is unacceptable, that a country which has been attacked has a right to defend itself, and that India was doing exactly that. Now, when Operation Sindoor was launched, we spelled out our objectives. There was a statement, Honorable Raksha Mantri ji referred to it in his statement, where we put out for the benefit of our own people, for the international community, that Operation Sindoor was hitting the terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks had been planned and launched. We highlighted that 9 sites had been targeted, and we said that our actions are focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature. And we were living up to the commitment that those responsible for this attack will be held accountable. This was the commitment which was endorsed by the UN Security Council, thanks to our diplomacy. It was a commitment made by the Prime Minister to the people of India that we would hit those symbols, those sites, those planning places. So today, when I hear many questions from across the aisle, I want to say, which one of you imagined that Bhavalpur and Muridke would be brought down the way it was? Which one of you thought it? When did you even think of it during your tenure? Did it even cross your mind? In fact, on the contrary, you ruled it out after 26/11. So, I think our objectives are very clear. We wanted to send a message to the terrorists. We wanted to send a message to Pakistan that do not continue this support for terrorism. And I think on the morning of 7th of May, that message went home loud and clear. Now, sir, during this period, there was, when the operations were on, when the conflict, when the activities were on, operation is still continuing. A number of countries, number of their leaders, ministers, others called up. And they called up because people wanted to know what is happening. People wanted to know what is the thinking of India. People wanted to understand what we are doing. And I would like to share with the House, sir, through you, to everybody, we gave a common message. The common message was, India is exercising its right to defend itself against terrorism. Number 2, the targets which were hit on the 7th of May are known terrorist headquarters and infrastructure. Number 3, there will be no mediation. Anything between us and Pakistan is bilateral. Number 4, we will never bow down to nuclear blackmail. Number 5, we are responding to Pakistani military attacks because after Operation Sindoor was launched, they had started targeting our military facilities. And we will continue to hit the Pakistani military. If the fighting is to stop, Pakistan must request it. And that request must come through the designated channel of DGMOs. This was a common message that we had given to many people who had called us during that period. Our position was very, very clear in how we were approaching the progress of Operation Sindoor. Now, sir, many members asked, some out of genuine curiosity, some perhaps less, what was the international support? How much international understanding was there of India's position? I would like to share with you a sample. So let me start with countries who are known to be partners of India. Quad. Quad gave a statement which says, the Quad unequivocally condemns all acts of terrorism and violent extremism in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. We condemn in strongest terms the terrorist attacks in Pahalgam on 22 April and call for perpetrators, organizers, and financiers of this reprehensible act to be brought to justice without any delay. Now, sir, this is the Quad. Now, let us look at a different grouping, BRICS. Now, BRICS has China as a member, Russia as a member, it has Iran as a member, Brazil, South Africa, Egypt. BRICS also condemned the April 22 attack. It reaffirmed its commitment to combating terrorism, again including cross-border terrorism. Now, I would like members of this House to understand, if India is attacked, if there is a terrorist attack on India, and a country says we condemn cross-border terrorism, I think it is obvious to everybody what that cross-border terrorism is. So, I then move on, sir, to the Central Asia. The Central Asian countries opposed providing safe haven using terrorist proxies for cross-border terrorism, for terror financing. Now, I can cite statements from the Indian Ocean Rim Association, from individual countries, range of them. President Putin, for example, has said, he wrote to our president and said this brutal crime has no justification whatsoever and its perpetrators will face a deserved punishment. The President of Paraguay has said that he expresses solidarity and recognized India's legitimate right to self-defense. So the main point, the common thread, sir, which I would like to bring out is that number one, a cross-border terrorism across the board has been recognized, all forms and manifestations, opposition to condemnation of Pahalgam terrorist attack, and the right of India